Hi, my name is Lisa Gonzalez, and today I'm going to be discussing the book The Hunger Games. Now, the movie is not out yet, but if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, I do not recommend you listen to this. So, The Hunger Games is just basically about two teenagers who have to fight their way through these brutal, violent games that the head of the town or city or state, basically, they're called the capillaries, puts everyone through. And by everyone, I mean all the districts, which there are 10 districts in this book. And it's just how they have to basically survive and destroy each person in each district, including their partner. And it's very harsh, and it's only teenagers that are doing it. It's people starting at the age of 12 to 18. And it's very, very brutal. So, the book is basically divided into two parts. Part 1 is the tributes, which I'll be discussing first. And then Part 2 is the Hunger Games. That's when the game begins, basically. And I'll be talking to you about that at the end of the show. So, Part 1, the tribute, is basically introducing the characters and introducing what their lives are. In the first chapter, it introduces the main character. Her name is Katniss Everdeen, and she's 16 years old, and she has a young sister, Pamrose, and talks about her best friend, Gale, or Gil. I really don't know how to pronounce some of these names that are in them, because they're quite different from ours. And the first chapter is basically their names getting picked. A boy and a girl from each tribe. And the main character, Katniss, is in District 12, which is a mining district. It starts basically with her and just talking about her life and how District 12 is different, how her dad died in a mining accident, and then it goes on to them in the main square, basically in their town. Boys on one side, girls on the other, and how there are two big glass bowls on stage where all the boys' and girls' names are. And they first picked the girl's name, which the girl's name that was picked is her sister's, Pamrose, which is 12 years old. So her name's only in the thing once. Her oldest sister, Katniss, didn't let her take any extra food to get her name in more than once. So her name was in there once, and out of all that luck, her name got pulled. So Katniss volunteered herself in place of her sister, her younger sister, because she doesn't want her younger sister going through the brutal games that this game is. And then for the boy that was drawn, his name was Peta. I don't remember his last name, but he's the baker's son, and someone that has eaten, very proper, and whatnot. So, basically, the first couple chapters are basically them, her describing who Peta is, the boy, who he is, and where they first met, and basically all that, and saying goodbye to her, basically her family, and and her best friend Gail, which the beginning of the book seems like Gail actually loves her. But I was not able to figure that out quite just yet because, well, it was just the beginning of the book and it wasn't that much detail in it. So that's basically what the first couple chapters are about. It's just basically her describing what's going on during all that. And then after their family says goodbye to them, they get on the train, which is very rare for them. District 12 is one of the poorest and most povertous place, and so it is very rare for them to get on something so fancy. So that's when they meet their coach, who won the game for the first time. His name, hold on, I can't remember his name at the moment. Haymitch, that's his name. Their coach, Haymitch, which was the first out of District 12 to actually win. And usually District 12 is the one that they die off really quick in the games, but he was the first to actually be smarter and to actually win the games. So that's their coach, and they meet him, and the lady that announces the names, she's one of their sponsors. That is, what is her name? Elfie? Yeah, Elfie, that's her name. She's their, basically their sponsor. She sponsors, every district gets one sponsor right off the bat, and she's District 12's sponsor, I'm sorry. Also, the part 1 goes into them going into District 1 where the games are going to be held. And then it just starts off from there. It'll describe what they're doing, how they're training, interviews, and everything. And that's when, at the end of part 1, that's when everyone finds out that Peta is actually in love with Katniss. And it's just different. Really different. So in part 1, we also find out that what are they called? Their designers are making them look like they are partners, making them look like they are one and not just an individual. Because all the other districts in the past, everyone has been just fighting for themselves and not just for their district together. And I think that it brought out that you could fight a lot better with partners than you can just fighting for yourself. Because in the game, you also have to destroy your other district partner, which I think is very brutal. They should have both districts win. So that's basically in part 1, just them basically figuring out that what they need to do, interviewing, preparing themselves for the games. Now in part 2 is when the Hunger Games begin. They've done all their training, they found all their strengths, their weaknesses, and now it's just time for them to begin the Hunger Games and to actually be. Oh, this book is basically be part of the Hunger Games, which is very, very brutal. When I read it, I was shocked tremendously. So in the first couple chapters, it's them getting ready, of course, still, and then it puts them in the arena in the second chapter of part 2. So of course, in the first chapter, it's basically them getting prepared for the Hunger Games, and then in the second chapter, it has them starting in the arena. Now, in the arena, there's this big, wide open area where they just put everyone with all kinds of equipments like bow and arrows, swords, knives, no guns of any sorts though, like water, food, backpacks, sleeping bags, anything that you could survive out in the wilderness. And so they put these kids out there and basically have them fight each other. And if you want any of those supplies, you're gonna get killed. In the first day when they get put in, I think it's like six kids die out of that whole, 2 times 12, 24 kids. And it's just so brutal that they would have kids do this and put them through this. And 6 die right off the bat trying to get supplies like food, water, water bottle so they can hold more water, a sleeping bag, or anything that they could survive with. Katniss does survive that one day. So does Peeta. They survive that one battle. And she does end up getting a backpack that has a sleeping bag, has some matches, and a water bottle container, but with no water, of course. She has to find water. And so and a little bit of bread to eat, like crackers. And she ends up running into the forest, because there's desert area, there's forest, there's like tall grasses. It's like basically an outdoor little safari that they built, but they're supposed to kill each other. The first night, she comes up with the clever idea to sleep in a tree, so she's not down below on the floor. So she hangs herself basically in the tree. That's when she finds out that Peeta is actually with the Neanderthals. They are the ones that train for the games. Even though they're not supposed to, they train. That would be District 1, District 2, District 3, and District 4. Those districts train and volunteer themselves to partake. Usually they are the winners of the games because they have all the supplies. So of course they're going to win because they have food, water, shelter, they have everything, weapons. And of course at the end they fight each other. Well, she finds out that some of those tribal people, some of those tributes get other people that are not part of their group, basically. Like Peeta and some other kids, like another one that they pick is really good with bombs. So he's really good at putting bombs together and basically mining, stuff like that. And she finds out that night that Peeta is with them and that he killed someone for them. And it was just she was really upset that PETA was with them. So she's trying to find water to survive, because it gets the capillaries can change temperatures, change the atmosphere, like how hot it gets, how cold it gets, if it will rain or snow or anything in that nature. So she does find water eventually in the book. And it just goes on to her surviving. Then she does get a friend. Her name is Rue. She's about 12, 13 years old. She's the youngest out of the whole bunch. And Rue ends up helping her. And she's really outgoing, she's really spunky. And Rue first helps her out by being in a tree next to Katniss and points to a wasp's nest. And now these wasps are very poisonous and will kill you if they do sting you. And Katniss was up in a tree. Down below were, of course, the District 1, 2, 3, and 4 people. They were trying to kill her. But they couldn't climb a tree because, well, not skillful enough. So, Katniss basically cuts the wasp nests and makes those people, a couple, die because of the wasps. And she also gets her weapon that she's really good at using, which is the bow and arrow. She's really great at using the bow and arrow. That's her greatest weapon to use. And she becomes friends with Rue at that point. Her and Rue end up sleeping together in trying to stay warm during nights, gathering food like meat, and Rue knows of some really good herbs and berries and such that she is able to pick. So they're both able to bring strengths to each other. Katniss is a great hunter, and Rue is a great person at knowing which herbs, berries, and nuts and things like that to eat also. And so they become really strong together like that. They end up deciding to destroy I don't know what to call them, the head district's food supply, because they're probably not that great. Katniss thinks that they're not that great at getting their own food. So she destroys their food supplies. And PETA is no longer with them because PETA tried to save Katniss from a guy from District 1. I cannot think of his name right now. It'll come to me. And so he basically betrayed their trust. So he's somewhere where, I don't know where, because it basically focuses on Katniss' story. So her and Rue, Rue is out drawing the high districts out of their camp so Katniss could destroy the food supply. She's able to destroy the food supply by basically blowing up the food, because that's what one of the guys did, the bomb guy from District 10, I think. He was able to put mimes all around the food, which she was able to basically blow up the entire food with just that. On the way back to getting with Rue, she lost one hearing in her, actually it was her left ear, I think it was. And she loses her earring in that ear, so she can't hear with one of her ears. but she goes back to look for Rue. She notices that something's wrong because she's not anywhere to be found. So Katniss decides to go looking for her. She goes looking for her, and she's almost found her when Rue screams out her name. Apparently one of the District 2, I think it was, killed her, slit her stomach. And Katniss ran up and killed that guy with a bow and arrow, with her bow and arrow, and basically tried to save Rue. But it was basically impossible because the wound was too deep. So all she could have done was just be with her. And you could tell that she cared about her because she reminded her so much of her sister, her younger sister. After she died, she ended up getting all the supplies from both that District 2 guy and Rue, and then she ended up wanting to rebel against the Capillaries by placing flowers so very beautifully around Rue before they picked her up. And at the end of the day, she was able to actually feel something. She felt like, oh my God, I killed my first person today and I lost a great friend. And that's when she decided that she was not going to just win for her. She was going to win for her and Rue. So that just made it very more clearly that it is also good to fight for more than one person. She was already determined to win the game for her little sister because she told her that I was going to win. So a couple nights has passed and the game makers wanted to spice things up a bit. There was already 6 tributes left, and they wanted to say, like, if there was 2 people from the same district still alive, that they would become the winners. Well, Peeta's picture hasn't shown up on the screens above them because they do show the people that have passed away up in the screens, so the people in the games know who's left. And so Katniss knew that Peeta and her were able to win the game if they both worked together. And so that's when Katniss goes looking for her. Goes looking for him, sorry. And she does find him. He is very weak, though. He's very good at camouflaging, basically. He camouflaged himself in. He put mud, he painted, like, basically camouflaged him. I don't know what else to say, but, so she helped heal him up, but it was to the point where he was about to die. Until they decided, the game masters decided to do a little dinner party thing, I guess is what they call it. They put like stuff that the rest of the components would need. And it would be out in the open. It's to get people out there to start fighting, basically. And so she basically puts Peeta to sleep with some medicine that their coach sent down. And it gave her enough time for her to get her little bag. But on top of it, the District 1 girl did die, so District 1 wasn't going to win with a pair for the first time. So there we are at five tributes now. Katniss almost died, but the guy that was going to kill her was in Rue's district, and Katniss told him what she did for Rue, and he didn't want to be paid. He didn't want to have to pay someone debt, so that he didn't kill her. So she was able to live and get her little medicine for Peeta to him. She got back to their little cave that they were hiding out in and gave him the medicine, and when she gave him the medicine, she passed out because she got cut along the eye, her eye right here, and it was really badly cut, so she passed out. Peeta woke up and was taking care of her while she was out, and then Katniss finally woke up, and it was really pouring outside, so there was nothing really they could do instead of get their strength back up, and that's when Katniss starts to play along with their little love spat thing that they were kind of working through. And that whole section with them in the cave, just basically describing their love and finding out more and more about how much they love each other. And Katniss was doing it for a whole different reason than what Peeta was doing. Peeta actually did love her. Katniss, she wasn't too sure of her feelings. She's one of those girls that she's very confused. And so she basically was really confused. So now we're at the part, there is actually 3 parts in the book, and the last part is the victory. We're now in the victory part 3 of the book. And this one is basically them fighting to the finish. They do end up killing, the guy from District 1, still can't remember his name, killed Rue's friend. So that left 4 tributes. And so with those 4 tributes, Peeta accidentally killed one of them with some very poison berries. Wait, I think I miscounted. Oh, no I didn't. Okay, so now there's 3 of them. They end up getting all drawn out. Peeta, the guy from District 1, and Katniss ends up getting drawn out to the main field to fight the last battle. Katniss ends up killing the guy from District 1. And so they were waiting for them to announce the winners when one of the capillaries came on screen and said, "I'm sorry, we can only have one winner." And that's when Katniss got the idea of having some of those poison berries that accidentally killed one of the last 4 people. So they both took some, and then that capillary guy came back on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have our winners." So they basically made them both win instead of just having one. By then, they were really happy and relieved. They went into treatment to get better. They did all this stuff. But Katniss still had to play the act of two lovers. And that's when Peeta finds out that she's playing him. Because on their way back home from after the victories, the everything, Peeta finds out that she basically was lying to him. And it ends with them getting home and him putting out his hand and saying, "Let's do this for the last time." Basically, let's fake it. He says one more time for the audience, and that's basically how it ends in the first book. So that's basically everything, a rundown of the Hunger Games, and I guess that's all I have to say. So till next time, I might be doing the second book, Catch a Fire, or another book that I'll be reading.